Welcome to the Fore podcast.
Dave, we're doing a special episode right now, aren't we? We talk about football a lot. We talk about fantasy football. We do a lot of those fun kinds of things. But tonight, Dave, we're going to talk about some basketball because I had some basketball on over my shoulder and I was watching the game, this in-season tournament, the Lakers versus the Pelicans. And I was watching, having a good time. And then you said, who are the best? What do you say? Who are the best under 6 foot, left-handed, light dribblers?
No. The way it started was you said, I can't believe LeBron James is still playing at such a high level. And I said, yeah, man, it's just unbelievable. I said, he's the best basketball player of the 2000s by far, right? And you said, no, you idiot. Let me tell you why you're wrong. And I said, well, how about we just do a quick record? We'll talk about what the top 4 basketball players of the 2000s.
Well, I think I called you more than an idiot, but you weren't wrong with LeBron being the best, the number one. But I think we're cutting to the chase here, aren't we? We don't want to ruin the party too quickly. Should we start at 4? Maybe no. Do we start at 1? Okay, we'll start at 1. We'll go with LeBron. Everybody knows who that is.
So you think it is a no-brainer that LeBron's number 1?
No-brainer. It's a no-brainer. He is so smart. He's so physically fit. He's so huge. He's hard to work with and be a teammate with at times, I imagine. But, he's undisputably the number 1 player of the last 23 years in the 2000s, yeah.
If we said the last 35 years, then right, people would be like, no. But if we choose the last 23 years, he's got it, right?
Yeah, you're getting into Michael Jordan territory at that point. And 25 years would be 1998. That was the last year that the Chicago Bulls won their championships. And then you'd have to say, well, so let's not even go there. Let's just say the 2000s. Michael Jordan never won an NBA championship in the 2000s. Dave, you want to know what my number 2 is?
No, I don't want to talk about that. I just want to say, so when did Jordan retire? Was it 2003, 2004, playing for the Wizards? So would people argue that technically, since he played in the 2000s, he's eligible to be the best player of the 2000s, or no?
No, I think because of this exercise very specifically that, who's the best in this time frame. That's why we picked it this way. Otherwise, we could just say Michael Jordan,
Okay. What are we talking stats? We talking game? We talking talent? We talking rings? What are we talking here?
Well, I think that's the dispute, right? I think that's where everybody would kind of get caught in their feelings because there are so many different measurables here. And I think you have to start with championships, right? Then you have to go with, impactability on their teammates. You have to go with all-stars, MVP seasons. You have to go to stats. You have to go to all of that because number 2 on my list, Dave, has more championships than LeBron, although has the same amount of championships as LeBron in the 2000s.
Ooh, can I guess who it is?
Yeah, go for it.
Is he a center?
He is not a center. No, he's a big man, but not a center.
Okay. Man, is he a really dry, bland, boring guy?
Roy Hibbert, Dave, are you guessing Roy Hibbert? I'm pretty sure it's not him. No. Why would you think Roy Hibbert is one of the best top 4 NBA players of the past?
You tell me the championship ring thing threw me off, I guess, and then the whole not being a center thing too. So,
but he's a big man.
He's a big man.
Yeah, and he is dry, and some people say he's boring. But
I don't know, man. You tell me, who is it?
It's Dave McNeil. It's not Dave McNeil. It's Tim Duncan.
Dude, shows how much I know about basketball. You're saying Tim Duncan's not a center?
Right. He's a power forward. He didn't play he can play center, but
no, you're telling me that Tim Duncan's position was power forward?
Power forward, yeah. Yep.
I don't believe it.
Look it up. We can
believe it. That was my guess was Tim Duncan, but yeah, my mind is blown.
David Robinson was a center. Thiago.
Well, all right. This is going to be okay. He was a power forward / center. So you got me on that one.
If you're doing the NBA voting, then sure, if you're going to lump him in like that. But that's why I clearly said he wasn't a center, but he was a big man. So in other words, he was a power forward.
Primarily played the power forward position and also played center throughout his career. So I see what you did there. You threw me a curveball and I swung and I missed. But yeah, Tim Duncan was my guess. That's why I said a dry guy. That's Tim Duncan.
I know. I know. He plays a lot of Magic the Gathering and different
Oh,
he really does. And,
okay.
and they call him the Wizard. I think his nickname is the Wizard because he does a lot of like gaming and that kind of stuff. But he won altogether. He won 5 championships. He won 4 in the 2000s. It was 03, 05, 07, and 13. And the guy was just incredible. He was a remarkable player. His athleticism, wasn't what he was known for, of course, but he was so smart and he was so fierce. He was such a competitor, and he really knew how to lead. And that's what makes Tim Duncan, I think one of the top, 10 greatest NBA players of all time.
And he was so reliable. He was so consistent. I just think of that story though, where he got ejected from a game. He was sitting on the bench and he was laughing at the ref or laughing at a
Yeah.
situation, and the ref ejected him.
Yeah, just get out of here. He laughed at the guy the wrong way, and he got ejected.
I think the reasoning behind that is like it. If Tim Duncan shows any emotion, that's got to be a dig at you a little bit. That like it's so funny that Tim Duncan's laughing at you. Like I think if you were a comedian and you had Tim Duncan in the audience and you made Tim Duncan laugh, that'd be like a high praise, high compliment. I think this ref thought, oh, okay, he thinks I'm a fool. He's out of here.
I think it might have been Dick Bavetta, the ref. I think it was Dick Bavetta. We'd have to look that one up. But
Sounds like a cheese.
yeah, yeah. Have you had the new Dick Bavetta? No, sorry, I'm lactose intolerant. Oh, well, next time you'll have to try the Dick Bavetta.
We can
Well,
edit that part out.
or leave it in, or leave it in and like and subscribe. Okay, we'll see ya. No, we've got 2 more, of course, but Tim Duncan, he really was one of the best of all time, and he was a great defender as well. He never came out and shot the 3-pointer, but he just had a great all around, a duck and under, and so many great post moves. The guy he brought his team together. So Dave, do you want me to go to number 3? Number 3, yeah, we're counting down up.
No, one more thing. Did Tim Duncan do very many sponsorships with companies?
Not too many. He did Heb. Here, everything's better. HEB. A lot of the Spurs did their commercials with that group, and so I know he did Heb commercials. I don't even know if they say Heb. I probably sound like a Michigander up here, but he did a lot of those. Now he didn't do a lot of like larger corporate national spots. No.
Yeah, I can just envision like he partners up with any sort of bank, like Tim Duncan the banker, because of all his bank shots. Like I just feel like that was a huge opportunity missed for them to not talk about that because he was like money off the glass.
He was money off the glass, Dave. Really astute observation. I love how you know that he was, and that was one of his best shots, actually, right? And you think about that, that's a higher percentage shot if you're just trying to shoot, dead on into the rim because you at least have some kind of more depth perception on the glass than you do on just the rim. So I think it's an underrated, underutilized shot right there, and that's what shows, the kind of intelligence the guy had.
Yeah, I want to hear number 3.
Number 3. Well, in the 2000s, again, you have to look at all the championships. You have to look at the stats. You have to look at the player and how they brought their team together. And I think you have to say Steph Curry. He won 4 championships. He won 2 league MVPs. One of them, he was unanimous, though. I think that was the first time that had ever happened. And he brought his team together. And even when they got Kevin Durant, they had already won a championship. He already knew he was the dude. He was him. But then they get Kevin Durant, and he kind of has to take a side step in his role as being the unofficial mayor of Oakland and San Francisco of the Bay Area. And he does it very humbly. And Kevin Durant, one of the greatest players of all time, comes in there and lifts them to yet another higher level. Meanwhile, Steph Curry is still doing his thing, and the fans embrace him even more. And he's just such a seems like a smart player. Talented, obviously, one of the probably the greatest shooter the NBA's ever seen.
Yeah, Steph Curry has totally changed the game with teams being okay with shooters shooting well outside the arc.
For good or bad.
I don't know. I saw a clip of like I want to say it was a middle school or high school game where kids were like literally going back and forth, shot for shot, an extra 5 feet back every time to the point where like you just dribble down and chuck a half court shot and they were making them.
Yeah, they are.
So I think if you look at Steph Curry's like draft position or what he was when he was coming out of college and where he is now, probably like the greatest success story in basketball that I can think of. Nobody would have ever expected him to be as successful as he is now. And man, like those Under Armour people really blew it with that, right? He didn't sign with Under Armour, did he? Didn't he sign with Nike instead?
That's a good question. I don't know. Yeah, maybe he did sign with Nike after all. Yeah.
Yeah, I want to say he had a meeting with Under Armour and they called him Stefan and he just walked right out. He was like, "Nope."
Oh, that's right. Good recall there, Dave. Yeah, I do
Yeah.
remember.
So yeah, Stephen Curry, his ability to shoot the long ball and just really like at any given moment, he can make a basket from anywhere on the court. Your defense has to just totally play different when you're against him. And no matter how much he proves time and time again that he can make any shot, teams still leave him open.
Well, they don't they leave them open, but it's not like you're leaving a, 20% three-point shooter out there. It's Steph Curry, and they know they can't leave too much space between their defender and him, but it's hard because he's always moving and he can create that separation, right? So he can, step forward, hit that dribble, he can, pump fake, he can do so many different things. He really is a cheat code if you think about it like that, because he's statistically the best shooter. And now you can look at a couple different shooting metrics in this regard, but he almost is unanimously thought of as the best shooter ever. And just to witness it's pretty cool to have witnessed it in this period of time, because when you saw that the Warriors were playing one night, you're like, I'm going to tune in. Like, I don't have to be a huge basketball fan. He can shoot the heck out of that ball, and so can Klay Thompson, and they're just fun to watch.
Defensively, what are his traits as a defender?
He's an underrated defender. He gets in the passing lane. He gets his hands up. He'll get deflections with his hands. He'll make blocks at times. He's very much an underrated defender. He's made a lot of strides in his defensive game since when he was drafted. He was a bit more of a Toro, just letting guys kind of get by him. But he's not like a great one-on-one defender, but he's a good team defender. He really is.
He seems like the kind of guy that wouldn't give up on a play. He seems like the kind of guy that would be active and have a high motor and always be involved, be like a
Yeah,
pest, you know?
yeah,
Well,
exactly.
let me just say, like, okay, so that's the top 3 here, and I feel like we did say it's the top basketball players of the 2000s, and there's a famous basketball player that you haven't mentioned yet, and I
Yeah.
feel like you either have to mention him now, and if you don't, that's crazy, but the fact that you're waiting until now to mention him is gonna get a lot of people riled up.
Shaquille O'Neal, I know, right? I don't think a lot of people were waiting this long to hear Shaquille O'Neal's name. And I know it's a big surprise, right? So we're all sitting down, we're all grown-ups, we're all doing okay. Take some deep breaths. Okay, don't shout at the screen,
You're
don't
you're
break
being
anything.
you're being for real right now. Shaquille O'Neal is your top 4 basketball player of the 2000s.
Dave, I don't know what other name comes to mind. Does another name come to mind for you, Dave? I mean, I would think maybe Nikola Jokic. I think Nikola Jokic should certainly be in that worth mentioning here in the top four spot.
I'm gonna go ahead and say that's okay that you have Shaquille O'Neal. Definitely phenomenal player. He made his mark, and that's okay. What did you like about Shaquille O'Neal? Why'd you choose him as number 4?
He's got to be maybe the second most athletic big man of all time behind Wilt Chamberlain. The guy is, you look at how big he is and how strong he is and how nimble and graceful, and just, that he could jump, he can grab a ball in midair and just slam it down with his left hand. And then, I mean, just the things that he was big, right? And I think everybody thinks, oh, well, if I were that big, I would be that dominant, but he was also incredibly athletic.
And he was dominant for a long time
And he
across
was
different teams.
he was, yep, he sure was. And I think he's got a pretty fun and welcoming personality. I think he might rub some people in the wrong way, of course, we all do, but I think for the most part, he had people that liked him and he liked them, and it was a nice atmosphere when you're around him.
Yeah, speaking of rubbing him the wrong way, there was a great joke that Adam Sandler had about Shaquille O'Neal. You'll have to look it up, but it was the joke that Adam Sandler had where he wanted to like catch Shaquille O'Neal in the locker room, but the security guard got in the way. You should YouTube it. It's a hilarious joke. The setup is great.
Okay, so you can't. Can you tell the joke, or you're not Adam Sandler?
I'm not going to tell the joke. I wouldn't, do it justice. And I also, you just got to hear it from Adam Sandler. So look up Adam Sandler Shaquille O'Neal locker room joke. It's
Okay,
hilarious.
because you're not Adam Sandler, but that's okay. Still like and subscribe. He's Dave. He's a great guy. Come on, everybody. Now,
We
Dave,
talked
did you have
about it.
something?
Here's the thing that's been screwing us up. People like the videos, but they're not giving the thumbs up. Like, because there's no way to like a video on YouTube. You just, oh, I like that. Yeah, but you got to click the thumbs up. You got to hit the little button that says thumbs up, and you got to hit the little bell that says subscribe, because that'll allow us to keep bringing you content like this.
Dave, I might be partially liable here because I think I have told people that I don't care if they like it or subscribe. I think I've told them to f off. And I don't think people are gonna, necessarily like and subscribe if they're getting told to f off. So
That's it too. You're killing our sponsorship deals. That restaurant that we talked about for a while has not replied back to any of our emails lately. And I feel like that's part of it. As you said, we don't want any people liking or subscribing. So
Dave,
shoot.
I don't even remember what restaurant you're talking about. What are you even talking about?
It was that sausage company. It was that small hole, like the hole in the wall sausage company.
No, go on. It doesn't ring a bell.
Yeah, we talked about it probably like a month ago. It's a new startup restaurant, and the chain is kind of known for delivering delicious sausages through
Oh
unique
yeah,
cutout.
yeah, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I don't know
Anyway,
how I've
we'll have to
one.
see if those guys are still going to do their pop up or not.
Don't they have that's right. They're the ones with the proprietary cutouts, right? And then you can
Yep.
get the sausage through the proprietary cutout. The hole in the wall
Yep.
sausage company. That's right. It kind of went over me for a second. So we got to get in touch with them. I do. Good people.
Yep. Anyway, I
Yeah.
digress. So, Shaquille O'Neal's your fourth. I know this is a top four. Let's say, is there going to be an honorable mention at number five?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's where you got to say Nikola Jokic. You say Kevin Durant. I think some people might say Kobe Bryant. Probably very few out there. Can't imagine that a lot of people would say Kobe Bryant because he was
So
just pretty inefficient.
you're sitting there with a straight face telling me that Kobe Bryant doesn't crack your top four NBA players of the 2000s.
100% there, buddy. 100%.
You're sitting there telling me that some people would have Kobe Bryant as a top five basketball player of all time, and you don't even have him as a top four in the 2000s.
Some of those people, they're just Kobe stans. That's all they are. They live in, they breathe Kobe. And if anybody says anything about he's not the greatest player of all time or second greatest player, him and Jordan up there. Well, I got some news for you guys. He's been on teams with Hall of Famers his entire time. He always had incredible teams. He had one of the greatest coaches of all time. He was inefficient with his shooting, and he's a great player. Nobody's arguing that he's not a great player. He's obviously one of the top players of all time, but he's not the best player to ever walk the ground, and he's not even the top five. He's not even in my list of the top four of the 2000s, Dave. I know that's going to sound kind of blasphemous to some.
No, it's you've defended it pretty well. You bring up a good point. He has been on phenomenal teams his whole career, and he's benefited from good schemes. He's benefited from great coaching. He's had a lot of support. He was blessed to go to a great organization. And yeah, towards the end, the organization really you could analyze how did the Lakers bungle the twilight years of his career. They kind of wasted his talent. Maybe he should have retired a couple years earlier, but I think most people would have Kobe Bryant as a top four, no brainer. So if you're fired up by that and you want to start your own podcast, TJ, where you talk about basketball players, go right ahead. If you're just a regular Joe that wants to comment that Alex is stupid because he left Kobe Bryant outside the top four, arguably outside the top five basketball players of the
Sue
2000s,
me.
you go right ahead.
Yeah, sue me. I don't care. Oh, Dave, I do want to throw one more name out there for an honorable mention. I'll say, close to cracking the top four, I'd say Ben Wallace. So the Detroit Pistons, Hall of Famer Ben Wallace. I think you got to throw him in there. He was several time, I believe, 4-time Defensive Player of the Year. And he was the heart and the soul of the 2004 Detroit Pistons. So you got to throw him on there. I know.
What about Kawhi Leonard?
Now, that's my guy. Now we got to do a whole nother video just about Kawhi because he's my favorite player. I think he's probably my favorite player ever. And he,
But just not the top 4 or 5 best players of the 2000s.
His injury history, that's the thing, is he's just gotten injured at the wrong times, and he's been injured so much. He had 2 finals MVP trophies presented to him, and he's won 2 final championships. And he's unarguably one of the best players in the league, but his injury history, I think, just precludes him from being in that conversation. Unfortunately, as much of a homer to the quiet fans that I am.
Well thought out arguments on all fronts. I don't disagree too much with you on that. And you are the basketball guru here of the 2 of us. So nice job. This was like totally spur of the moment. We did 0 planning. So good job.
0 prep. That's right. That's how it is, Dave. Well, unless you got anything else to say, unless you want to profess your love and deep admiration for Kobe Bryant, then we should probably get out of here. And we'll see y'all next time on the Four Birdies podcast.